Campaigns is one of the most used and misused words in the sales and marketing world, and with HubSpot, it's no different. The thing to understand is that HubSpot calls campaigns something different than other CRMs and other marketing platforms do. For instance, with Salesforce, you can put people into a campaign. It's a way of grouping people through a particular marketing action. You can have calling campaigns and mailing campaigns, and people can go through emailing campaigns. With HubSpot, it's not a grouping of people, it's a grouping of marketing assets. It's a way of grouping marketing assets so that you can report on them as a single entity no matter where people encounter those assets. Still, there's a lot of confusion with HubSpot campaigns. So stay tuned, I'm going to show you the absolute best way to set up your HubSpot campaigns. Hey everybody, I'm Josh Paul from Pipeline Ops, and we're going to show you the best way to set up HubSpot campaigns. Once and for all, we're going to give you a definitive answer. The important thing and why we're doing this is so that everybody is in your organization is thinking about campaigns, planning campaigns, and using campaigns consistently. So what is HubSpot's official ruling on how to use campaigns? Let me read it to you. They say the campaigns tool allows you to tag related marketing assets and content so that you can easily measure their effectiveness of your collective marketing efforts. Great description, great concept, but what they don't tell you in any of their training is at what level to set the campaign, and that's really important to everyone using it consistently. Do you build campaigns around offers? Do you build campaigns around funnels? That's groupings of offers and emails and a progression down the sales pipeline. Do you build it on a particular topic? You know, if you're writing about and producing a lot of assets on a particular topic, do you group those assets? Do you do it around an event? If you have a webinar or a live event or meetup or a networking event or a video series that you're recording live, do you set campaigns up? Do you group things around particular audiences? So around your personas, but you already have personas for that, so audiences might not work. Or is there something else that you should be grouping by? This is what people run into, and everybody starts using campaigns differently, and there is one way to do it better than the other. And we're going to get into that in just a second. Now, the purpose of campaigns is to report on your marketing efforts collectively, as HubSpot says in their description. And that means we start with reporting. At what level do you want to report? Do you want to report around an audience or a topic or a particular offer? Each of those has pros and cons, and they don't quite fit. So what we've done is we've done just hours of testing and months of analysis to bring you the best way and at what level to set your campaigns. This video is not about how to use campaigns, how to set up the reporting, how to set your goals, because HubSpot has a ton of resources. I don't need you to watch me to learn something you can learn directly from HubSpot. But what HubSpot isn't saying, and there's a lot of confusion about, is that what to build your campaigns around. Now, the best way, I promise you the best option, is to build it around the goal of each funnel. You guys are familiar with funnels, but HubSpot is pushing the flywheel more than the funnel. The dirty little secret of the flywheel, you guys are familiar with the flywheel, where you're getting found and engaging people in the sales process and all the way through delighting them, closing the deal and delighting customers so that they promote you in your market. And the more the flywheel spins, the more your business grows. The flywheel is amazing, but the dirty little secret with the flywheel is that it's made up of dozens and dozens of little funnels. There's a funnel to build awareness and get found and generate leads and nurture those leads and convert those leads into paying customers and engage paying customers and identify frustrated customers and then turn happy customers into advocates in your market. All of those are little funnels, little progressions that you want to take people through. What you want to do is set up your campaigns not around an offer, because what if you just have, let's say you put a checklist out there and you build traffic to it and calls to action and emails around that checklist, then everything just stops there. You want to look at one complete funnel and the goal of that funnel. Let me give you some examples. If you build a webinar funnel, you have ads and emails and landing pages and blog posts and press releases potentially that are all driving people to that webinar registration. But the webinar registration, the webinar itself isn't what you're building your campaign around. You're building it around the entire funnel, and that's usually to get into some sort of sales call. So you want to include the post webinar things, the follow-up emails, the sales assets that sales is going to connect with people who attended the webinar with after the webinar. So if the goal is to get people into a sales call through generating traffic that turns into webinar registrations, that turns into webinar attendees, and then ultimately turns into people who sales is calling, then you're building all of those into the same campaign. At a higher level, you could just have a branding campaign. If the ultimate goal is to get people to your website and there is no next step after that, then that's what you're building the campaign around. You're building all of these ads and assets and partnership co-marketing opportunities just to get people to your website. Now, campaigns will overlap and be layered on top of one another. People will say, well, why don't you build a campaign? Ultimately, I want them to become a customer. Why don't you build a campaign from awareness all the way through becoming a customer? There's just too many routes. You'd have one campaign. There's too many routes for people to take. So focus on the goal of each individual funnel, because you're going to have multiple campaigns that try to get people into a sales call. You're going to have multiple campaigns that try to get people from a lead to a paying customer. And so it enables you to layer things more cleanly if you focus on the goal of the funnel instead of the ultimate conversion, and that's making a purchase. Let's keep going with some examples. A re-engagement campaign. So again, you're trying to get people into a sales call. So you're running ads and emails to the cold people on your list with offers to try to get them engaged and then try to ascend them to eventually get into a sales call. If you have a new ebook, then the ultimate goal there is to get somebody onto your lead list and get somebody into your database. And you can also use ebooks in a larger campaign where somebody downloads an ebook or a checklist, but that's not the last step in that campaign. That's to get them into the webinar that's next week. And then the webinar has a follow-up series to try to get them into a sales call. So that it's not cut and dry based on the type of offer. You want to base it around where you want people to end in that campaign, where you want that funnel to end. It's not always a purchase. Your business model might not be that somebody can go from unaware of you to purchase in the same campaign. The campaign may be just to get them engaged with sales or just to get them on your list. All right. So that's what I wanted to convey to you guys today. There's so much confusion in the partner Facebook groups, in the HubSpot groups, the HubSpot community, what level to set your campaigns at. By basing it around the goal of the funnel also causes you to set and stay on goals. You're not just putting out assets to generate leads and put out assets. It's causing you to look at things from a full funnel perspective, and that helps you set goals, stay on goals. So the big takeaway here is to build your campaigns around the goal of each funnel and lay out all the funnels in your flywheel and build your campaigns around the assets inside each funnel. All right, guys, I'd love to hear your questions and thoughts. Post them below, and I'll see you online.